Hey YouTube, it's been a while. Sushi Tech here with a Labrynth deck profile. I've been obviously been playing Labrynth for a while since Tactical Masters, so I've tried a lot of builds and kind of stuck with the furniture build for a little bit. But recently, just had an idea based on another list and kind of played off of that a little bit for an alternative Labrynth build. Just decided, to heck with it. I'm going to try a new build for a case tournament that I've never tried before. Found it really fun. Came in second. I don't think people were expecting me to play it this way, so maybe caught some people off guard, but I'll just get into the profile. I'm going to start off by saying there are nearly no hand traps in this deck. And essentially, what I wanted to do was, since we are playing the furniture, um, I find that hand traps, unless you open multiples, um, are typically ineffective and really don't hurt your opponent, especially if you're going second in a trap deck. So I figured, let's try something where we can maybe benefit off of the -1 that we get from pitching the furniture while it's in the grave. I'll get into it and I'll kind of explain the mindset. So, first off, two lady, I've been seeing some builds run one, and I think that is completely incorrect. I think two or three is the correct amount. If you're only playing one and one gets banished, uh, you're basically out of the game. Um, Running one lovely. She's the brick, so you only want to run one of her. I'm not going to really go over what they do. Everybody's pretty much at this point aware of what they do. If for this build, I was opting to run 3 Arias, just because we're playing no hand traps. We kind of want to get our blowout traps from our hand onto the field going second. And she's also a level 6, so that comes up for the extra deck as well. We're playing 3 Ariana Grande here, the Stratos of the deck. We are playing 1 pink girl, Ariane. She's really useful. Not a lot of people know what she does, but she essentially just sends one of your traps to the grave for cost, to summon a level 4 or lower. Usually you can get Ariana, or you can get one of the furnitures if, let's just say, you have lovely or lady on the field and you want to get a chaos angel, or if you're playing another alternative build, you can even get a barrier statue out with her. But essentially you send rollback or something that you don't need to try to get rollback into the grave. Usually that's what you're doing with her. Typical lineup here: 3 Chandraglier, 3 Stovey Torby, and I'm opting to play 2 Ku Klok just in case one gets banished. And you kind of want to see it, but you also don't want to see too many of them. Lets you activate a trap card, turn it set, if you control a Labrynth monster. And these both pitch something with themselves to set a Labrynth spell or trap from the deck to your field. And then this is kind of where I'm getting at. I know that this is kind of like a card that people were running in the beginning, but I'm kind of back on it. The 3 Backjack. Especially if you're going second, if you see it, you can essentially just stack your deck, especially if you use it as the last effect. You can stack your deck. You'll know what you're going to be drawing for turn. If you don't happen to open any traps, you can kind of fix that. You can grab traps off the top of your deck during your opponent's turn. And I just find that it's, even if you open just this, being a level 1, you can do Karibo or even Anima, which is what everybody's doing right now. But even Karibo can help you for the most part in the long run. But this just helps you extend and turn that -1 into a +1. And that's it for the monsters. Like I said, no hand traps in the main deck. And we're only running 3 spells. We're running the field spell, setup, and called by. Um, I don't want to play the pots just because they have to be our first action. And sometimes we want to get around that. And then we also don't really want to banish things in the extra deck. I know that that's kind of sounds weird coming from a Labrynth deck, but you really don't want to banish your Chaos Angels, your Muckrakers, and then I have some spice in the extra deck too that you just don't want to get rid of. That actually came up during this tournament. It's come up in a couple of other tournaments. Um, I just don't want to see it gone because then you can have some dead cards in your extra deck. This card comes up with another trap, and we'll go over that once we get it out, get it on here. So those are the spells. Trap lineup, 3 big welcome, 2 welcome. You could run this at 3, but I think you're fine at 2. Everybody knows what these do, so these are important for the strategy. 2 Daruma. Cool thing, this is not once per turn. This trap is not once per turn, so if you happen to Daruma a board and they can keep extending and you have another one, you can Daruma them again. 1 Black Goat. This is another furniture discard that you can use. This just helps you plus, helps you extend, or keeps your opponent from extending from their hand. 1 Dimensional Barrier. I know Fire King Snake Eye is a thing that gets around this because they're mostly link summoning, but it is a trap that you can activate to try to set something. And if you do happen to get into a match, maybe Voiceless Voice, which actually happened with me, Voiceless Voice, any kind of deck that's trying to, summon that's not link, this is just helpful. 3 Trap Trick. So the idea with this is that this is any trap in your deck. You open Arias plus this, you essentially can activate any of your traps. Well, not any of them, just the ones that you have running multiples of. Becomes that, and it's basically a blowout trap. The idea with this is that you can set this. If you have this, set this, activate this, banish a big welcome, set the big welcome, activate big welcome, and then get your bounce, summon your bounce. Labrynth setup puts both your banished one that you banished off of Trap Trick and the one that's now in your grave back in your deck so that you can set 2 different welcome or 2 different normal traps if you happen to have a fiend monster on the field. So you play this as a one-of. It's really nice. It keeps traps on the board, especially if you are, especially if you're blowing out your opponent with with like Daruma and things like that, which came up a couple times for me. Setting 2 traps was really nice because you can always set a transaction rollback. Especially if you're doing big welcome, grab Ariane. Set one of these, set like an Imperm, which is the only other hand trap that we're playing, or the only hand trap that we're playing just because it has synergy with the deck. Everybody knows a transaction rollback does copies a trap. You can always copy a trap, big welcome, then afterwards Labrynth set up it, and you're plussing so hard. And then that's it for the main deck. It's 42 cards. I couldn't figure out what to cut down, and I felt weird even not having any removal traps like Ice Dragon's Prison or Tears of the Overroot. I'm going to go over the extra deck. It's 2 Chaos Angel. You're gonna make this with Stovey Torby and any of your level 8s, or Arias and a Servant. And it's not once per turn, and usually you can loop it with this. Summon one from grave, pitch one from hand. Lingaribo, just to get out of Ibly Lock. I know it's not really a thing, but it's nice to have just in case. Anima, SP, and Underworld Goddess, kind of just like normal, typical cards that you have in here. Abyss Dweller, Baguska, Beatrice. I made this in my last round against Snake Eye. totally ruined their turn. Didn't make this, and you can technically make this with Arius, but it's not very common. And it'll just help you dump a transaction rollback. Zeus and Typhon, I don't really have to go into these while you play them. And then the Spice, the last card in the extra deck. Raid Raptor, Rising Rebellion Falcon. This is just Raid Raptor Ultimate Falcon, unaffected by all card effects. Just the same thing, except with 500 more attack. This came up in my very last game against Snake Eye. This is what won me the game. They could not out this. They SP banished my Waking the Dragon, and Waking the Dragon, which is in the side, summon this out, and it was just game from there. They had no way to out this. I think most decks right now won't have a way to out that. So the side deck, this is where the hand traps are. Ash Blossom, I feel like because Snake Eye is a big thing, Fire King's a big thing, this just punishes you more than it punishes them. So if you're in a match like Branded or Salad or something that really can't utilize this as much, it's a good card. 2 Droll, 2 Nib. The only reason, I think if I was going to change anything in the side deck, I might add another Nib. Just because you do actually get utility with Nib if you activate Nib and then pitch it with furniture. You basically clear the board and you don't leave them with a huge token that you're trying to get rid of, especially since you don't have removal in the form of a trap in this deck, which is kind of why it's at 2. Plus, you can't really summon it, being such a high level. If you don't have a board, you can't just like summon it to defend yourself. I'm playing 3 Crossout, or 2 Crossout. I was playing 3. Crossout just for the ashes, maybe an Imperm, just something to keep your plays going. This card is in the side. I think there's an argument to be made that you could play it in the main, different dimension ground. The only reason I have it sided, even though Snake Eye and Fire King are a huge thing right now, is I don't want it in a matchup where I'm playing against Kashtira or Flu, just because this is a dead trap. It only helps them. It doesn't bother me much because my furniture is going to already be in grave, and if I can stop them for a turn, it's nice. And then because I'm playing 2, I might even bump it up to 3. I looped this on players on Sunday, so that was really nice. You saw the Spice, Waking the Dragon. You can always set this off of Labrynth setup. If you have Labrynth setup and you're aboard, you're about to get Harpy Feather Dustered or Lightning Stormed, and you happen to have the 2 welcomes in grave, return them to the deck, set this, and it gets blown up, and then you get your Raid Raptor. And then I'm playing 3 Evenly Matched. Evenly Matched is not a lot of people are playing it right now, but I think in Labrynth it's really, really good, especially if you transaction rollback this. If you can get a furniture discard at the end of your opponent's turn, discard transaction rollback, set a Big Welcome, activate Big Welcome on your turn, get whatever you need, bounce it back, evenly match them, make them banish. They can either negate this, it'll go to grave, or it goes through, you banish their whole board, then you can just transaction roll back it, so that they have to banish the last one and finish the job. Clear that entire board. I think there's an argument to be made. I would prefer, I think if I was going to change anything, like I said, I think if I was going to change more things in this deck, I would probably add more cards that have effects in the grave that I could benefit off of my pitches for furniture. Just because I'm kind of in this mindset right now where hand traps in Labrynth, they're great. because we need them going second, but also we're also negging ourselves. So if we play too many hand traps in Labyrinth, um, with our furniture discards, we are losing resources. These things usually have no effects in grave. Ash Blossom, if we're playing against Snake Eye or Fire King or both, it's just giving them material for the Fire Charmer. Uh, Droll doesn't do nearly as much. I mean, I think the only one that I could make a case for is Nib, but I want to pitch things. I think if I was going to change anything, add more things that benefit off of being discarded with the furniture, shufflers, things like Lost Wind, or if you want to get real spicy, or like things like Breakthrough Skill, which are like imperms in your graveyard, um, things like that. I even want to experiment with other monsters. Maybe like Diabolica, the fiend, the level 8 fiend monster, so that you can, if a fiend leaves the field, you can summon her. Just things like that. Um, I'll be experimenting if I find anything useful. Obviously, I post. This is one of my favorite decks, and I'll be playing more of it. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I should probably go over my matchups. My first matchup was my only loss for the day, which was Voiceless Voice, and that was just because I could not get D barrier in time. I did get D barrier, but I did not get it in time in game 3. Game 1, I looped it and I did not let him ritual summon. Game 2, it was against Centurion. That was a 2-0. I don't remember my third matchup, but my last and final one was Pure Snake Eye, and that was 2-1. Uh, I I bricked. I thought I bricked going game 1. I went second, and I opened 2 Darumas and let him go, and I just wiped his board with the Daruma. I was able to get Lady on the field, and I blew him out with Darumas, and he just didn't have anything to put Lady in the back row. I survived a super poly, and then game 3, I lost game 2. Game 3 went in, waking the dragon. I just had too much board presence, and then we went to time, but I had a vast amount more life points. He was waiting for me to activate Lady to set something so he could Kurikara it, and I just wasn't letting him. I just wasn't activating her for him to Kurikara it, and he needed that Kurikara on the board so that he could summon everything, beat over Raid Raptor. But I knew he had it, and I just did not want to chain her to have him tribute her. But yeah, any questions, leave them in the comments below. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.